Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Veterans Day meeting for the Sons of the American Revolution. For all the folks in here, personally for me, I was never active military. I seemed to spend too much time in college. But for all of you that served, for all of you that served, thank you for your service. This is a great weekend. To get us started, Reverend Frank Pounders, would you lead us? Please rise.
God, we enter into thank you for the privilege of having served the United States of America in whatever way we did it. Many of us in the military, many of us doing other things, and many of us too young to serve at that point. But now we serve through you and this organization to try to make this nation better, stronger, more reliant upon you and your goodness and your wonderful beingness. So bless us, each of us. Give us the strength, the courage, and the will to do your will in this life. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge to the American flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
James Farrer, will you lead us in the pledge to the Texas flag?
I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
And please follow me in the affirmation of the SAR. We, the descendants of the heroes of the American Revolution, who by their sacrifices established the United States of America, reaffirm our faith in the principles of liberty and our constitutional republic, and solemnly pledge ourselves to defend them against every foe. Patriot John Morton, would you lead us in America?
My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring.
Thank you. You may be seated. Ralph McDowell, tell us about the greeters and your assistant this morning.
Yeah, Thomas Lomberg helped me. We were glad to greet all of you. Glad you're here. And we invite you to return every month. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Tom, before I finish,
Yes.
we've received a payment from the Albertsons Safeway program, a shopping program, of $31.70.
Did they wangle you into speaking this
Give
morning?
that to me.
Did they wangle you into speaking this morning?
Perfect.
Well, anyway, thank all of you for shopping and helping us out.
And we do that at Albertsons, Kroger's, where else?
Albertsons, yes, Albertsons, Safeway.
Safeway.
Or Tom Thumb. And if you're interested, see me, I give you the number that you need.
How many years you've been going
You
at
go
this?
to the service
How many
department
years
of the
have you been
store
going?
and they'll assist you in getting the sign.
Perfect.
Every purchase we receive 1%.
Yes.
And we also have a
They
program.
kicked me out of 20. Like
Okay,
that.
thank you,
I
Ralph.
wanted to keep staying.
Okay, a few people I'd like to introduce this morning, just coming in maybe at the food table. Gary Lovell, our District 6 VP. Here he is. Okay. And just got here, our Chancellor. There he is, Tracy Bowers. And we'll go around and see if we've got any other people that we can find out as new people this morning. Let's start with your table over there, Jerry.
Well, we got members, which will be forwarded in today. And I have Kirby Tassos, we've turned his application in to Jerry Brown this week. So, hey, 3 or 4 months, he'll be here in this row.
Okay. How about the next table, Alan?
My name is Ray Fox, and I'm turning in my application. I've been working on it. I get Monday off, so I'm going to get it done.
Ray, stay with it. It took me about 6 months, but it works. These guys will get it done for you. Okay. John, how about back at your table?
There's nothing. We're all
folks? Ralph,
we're all clear.
how about right up here? Yes.
Yes, I have my mother here as a guest, Bradley Sue Howell.
Now at the front table we have a gentleman who is joining us from Eastport Trinity. He's the president of Eastport Trinity, Wes Anderson. This person is not a guest, but we're just glad to have him back. Our president, Bill Watts.
I'm just happy to be here.
As we talked earlier, Bill, I'm sure you're happy to be anywhere. Okay. All right. I got approached this morning by my friend Nick, who said there's something that he has to tell people this morning. It's about a moment of levity. So, I'm not sorry, Nick. Mr. Bob Ketchell's going to do it. So could you tell us about a little moment of levity here?
Sure can. Did you turn on the mic, or are you just one of the two?
I guess I need to speak louder.
This is rather a long joke, so anyway, my wife gave this to me. She said you might get a laugh out of it, but a man decided to write a book about churches around the country. He started by flying to San Francisco and started working east from there, going to very large churches. He began taking photographs and making notes. And he spotted at one church a golden telephone on the wall. And it piqued his curiosity, which read, calls $10,000 a minute. Seeking out the pastor, he asked about the phone and the sign, and the pastor responded by saying, this golden phone is in fact a direct line to heaven. And if he pays the price, he can talk directly to God. The man thanked the pastor and continued on his way. And as he continued to visit churches in many cities and towns all around the United States, he found more phones with the same sign and the same answer from each pastor. Finally arrived in Texas, and upon entering a church in Gavel-to-gavel, Texas, behold, he saw the usual golden telephone. But this time the sign read, calls 35 cents. Fascinated, he talked to the pastor. Pastor, I have been in cities all across the country, and in each church I have found a golden telephone, and I have been told that it's a direct line to heaven, that I could talk to God. But in the other churches, the cost is $10,000 a minute. Your sign reads only 35 cents a call. Why? And the pastor, smiling broadly, replied, son, you're in Texas now. You're in God's country. It's a local call.
Nick, thank your wife for bringing that to me. I appreciate that. Okay. Before we get into our main speaker, I did want to mention a few of the notes from a few of us that got a chance to go to the BOM down in New Braunfels last month. The good news was we had a really good meeting down there, and it was my first, so that everything was new to me, and I learned a lot. Bad news was I understand it messed up your breakfast last night. So if Tom is not here, I guess we don't eat. Since he's here today, I guess we eat. I didn't know if you heard that or not, but they had a little disruption. At the BOM, we got there on Friday night, and they had a nice gale for us. We went to a German restaurant, and you commiserated and got to meet people and saw some interesting people doing German dances, which I didn't understand, but everybody was having fun. And they had 81 different beers at this restaurant. And Tom tried 72 of them, I think, yes.
Actually, 71.5.
Oh, you didn't finish? I forgot. Yeah, okay. Anyhow, we had a business meeting on Saturday and a good lunch. Interesting, at some of the business meetings, you hear a number of things about what's going on in other chapters. And to a level or degree, trying to compare what we do, I think we're probably in the middle of the pack to activities outside of our regular Saturday morning meeting. There's a few things that they bring up that I think I'd like to look forward to next year. Maybe we can get involved in being a little more involved with some of the DAR chapters, because they do a lot of stuff and they can use our help, and we could use a little bit of their guidance. They talked about such things as the activities outside in marking graves for patriots, marking graves for compatriots, and also marking graves for past presidents. Now, we do a fair amount of that, but I think we're probably going to see more of it because it's becoming more in the forefront. Interesting talk at lunch. They had a gentleman there who spoke about the German influence on the Revolutionary War, which a lot of people would recognize because of the Hessian soldiers and everything that we learned in history. But that evening, we had a talk from a guy by the name of Jesus Dila. I can't pronounce his last name. Anyhow, he is the CEO of the Texas Historical Society, and he was there with his family. And he talked about the Spanish influence on the Revolutionary War. Now, I have to admit, as a guy who likes history, I was a little less than knowing about what's going on. He gave a great presentation. Really enjoyed that. We also had a few other things that might be of interest to the folks, besides just the business of running chapters, talking about how you make sure that you keep a full slate of officers and keep your committees full and take care of all the activities that they're supposed to. They talk about things that are going in the past. They're talking about the possibility of lowering the price of the cost of a memorial application. I'm one that would benefit from that because my father will have a memorial application next year. Thought that was very interesting to hear the discussion about the amount of work that gets done by our registrars to get these applications completed. I heard this morning from one of our applicants that how much time it took to gather stuff and how much work that Jerry Brown and Jerry Pinkerton do. If you're doing that job, it's yeoman's duty. We also talked about the upcoming meetings that we're going to have next year. The state meeting will be in Austin, Texas. The BOM meeting next year will be in Arlington, Texas, so it'll be close. And of course, in 2019, in July, we have the National Congress in Costa Mesa, California. 2020, the state meeting is Houston at the Woodlands, and the BOM that year is in Waco. And in 2021, the state meeting will be hosted by East Fork Trinity and will be here in Dallas. So we got a lot of good stuff coming up. Something we're going to talk about a little later, they also distributed and talked about the fact that in 2021, that will be the 125th anniversary of the Texas SAR. I don't know that. I do now. And you're going to hear more about it because we're going to talk about it a little later because they want to have a special medal design for that purpose. So, good meeting. I'm glad I went. I would definitely go again, and I encourage anybody who hasn't been to one of those to take the time because you meet a lot of people which I hadn't met before, and I really enjoyed it. This morning, because this is a great Veterans Day weekend, I am honored to introduce a gentleman who I've come to know over the last year. I actually got to know his wife first, but that's a different story because his wife has spoken to us before. But this gentleman has been behind the scenes, he's been active, he's been helping, he's taken on a committee position But more importantly, after he was born in Ada, Oklahoma, somehow his family got him down here to Texas, and he served 40 years of service in the United States Army, and he retired as a 2-star general. It's my friend, Marshall Scanlon. Can I move this? Yeah, I'll use it. Let me get all this stuff. Not a problem. Pick up all everything else. Thank you, Tom. I do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to the regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. Those of us who have had the honor to speak these words and to take this oath belong to a special breed of men and women. For it's these men and women, past and present, are the ones we honor tomorrow during Veterans Day. It is an oath of service that bonds us with the veterans of our past wars, our present conflicts, and with those wars and conflicts that will surely come. Veterans of the United States military show a love for our country that is above reproach and valor that is unquestioned. Tomorrow we honor more than 20 million living American veterans who have taken this oath and have defended this great country of ours from the evils of tyranny and injustice. I'm sure some of you know this, but in 1918, I always find this fascinating, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the world rejoiced and celebrated. The war to end all wars was over. The United States had signed an armistice with Germany ending in World War I. Armistice Day was first celebrated in 1919 when President Woodrow Wilson declared November the 11th a holiday. Unfortunately, as we know today, the signing of that armistice so long ago didn't end all wars. Wars and conflicts and skirmishes have continued to this very day. We hear it on TV. We hear it in the news all the time. We read it in the papers. But in 1954, after having been through both World War II and the Korean conflict, the 83rd U.S. Congress, at the urging, I might say, of veterans organizations, struck out the word armistice and stuck in the word veterans. And then on June 1, 1954, the United States designated November 11th as Veterans Day to honor all veterans. There's a story about a captain at Fort Belvoir that was heading towards a post-medical facility. Captain looked up and saw this elderly gentleman coming towards her, obviously a veteran. The old soldier was stooped over, walking very slowly, appeared to be about 80, 85 years old. However, the captain barely noticed this veteran because right behind the veteran was a full colonel, an 06. And he was coming up pretty fast behind this veteran. When it was time to render her salute to the colonel, the old veteran was just a few steps away from the captain. So the captain, seeing the colonel come up, renders a salute, says, "Good morning, sir."
the veteran immediately came to life, totally transformed by the captain's greeting. Thinking the salute was for him, the veteran straightened up, returned her salute, and with vigor said, "Good morning, Captain." Meanwhile, the colonel was in the process of saluting when he realized what was going on. The colonel stopped in mid-salute, remained silent, exchanged glances with the captain as he was passing, unobserved by this old veteran. That was Veterans Day for that soldier. Veterans Day is a day when the nation pauses to salute all of those who have served and all those who will continue to serve in uniform to protect our country. Tomorrow is a day that honors those who have served on active duty, those who have served in the reserves, those who have served in the National Guard, those who have served during times of peace as well as times of war. This day honors those veterans who have served 2 years or who have served 30 years. This day honors the veterans who have served in all of our services: soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard. Those who joined and those who were drafted, those who served on the front lines, the supply lines, or guarding the shorelines back home. And you've heard this before, freedom is not free. Our country has endured many wars and conflicts over the past 242 years. Think about that number. We owe the men and women in uniform our heartfelt thanks for keeping our great nation free. And I say this not because I'm in uniform, but because the history of the United States of America is about service and sacrifice. Think a minute about the sacrifices that our compatriots had to go through in the American Revolution. It had to be tough. It had to be awesome what they were doing. Throughout our nation's history, our military men and women have put it on the front line for our country. And the veterans here today, and we have them, are honored, as are the veterans in our neighborhood, the veterans across the United States that have sacrificed so much that all of us can enjoy the liberties that we too often take for granted. In times of peace, we really don't turn out big numbers for Veterans Day. Unfortunately, it takes a time of conflict to make us understand what service to our country is all about. It takes the loss of a loved one to make us understand how deeply serious this business of keeping our country free is. We can never afford to forget what our men and women from all the military services have done to keep America free. From the new recruits heading off to basic training to the business owner down the street who balances the civilian life with life in the reserve components. And all we have to do is remember a few weeks ago, the Utah mayor, who was in the Utah National Guard, who was killed in Afghanistan on his fourth deployment. His fourth deployment. Can you imagine? It sends cold chills. Veterans Day also helps everyone appreciate the enormous amount of service and sacrifice by our families. We need to remember that the service member is not the only one who is sacrificing. And some people would say, well, who sacrifices more than the service member? Think with me for a minute. Of the time your son, your daughter, your mother, your father, your family member, your relatives, somebody had to deploy to areas in the world that you couldn't even pronounce and had no clue where it was, anyhow. Think a minute about Vietnam, when it started. We didn't know where it was, and some people still have a problem pronouncing it. Military conflict is a time when all military families must face an even greater uncertain future with all the worries and concerns that must be endured because a family member has gone into a combat zone. You better believe that families of service members sacrifice, in a true sense of the word, they become the veterans left behind. Even though I've been in harm's way a few times, including the first Persian Gulf War, it wasn't until my baby son was deployed to Iraqi freedom that Mary and I felt the full weight of sacrifice. My baby, 46 years old, now Lieutenant Colonel, was off to war. And I'll bet some of you have done the same thing. Each time the phone rang, we jumped. Each time the TV showed a bomb exploding, we worried. Each time the news came on, we were glued to the TV watching the events during the first during Iraqi freedom. When days passed and we didn't hear from Strauss, we worried. For those of you here today that have lost family, I honor you. That is tough. For the veterans here today that will remember your personal sacrifices and sacrifices of your buddies, I honor you. As we watched our son, then First Lieutenant Strauss Scanlon, deploy to Iraq with the 101st Airborne Air Assault Division, we felt the pain only a family can feel, and the pain that you can only see in a mother's eye. Because of the veterans and the families we know today, and those veterans and families across this great land of ours, I get to stand before you. Serving my country was my passion. Before me today, I see heroes. And if I ask each veteran here, are you a hero? You would say, you gotta be kidding. Or I'm no hero. Not me. But I disagree. Because I would say the same thing. I am certainly no hero. But in my eyes, today, you truly are. Before me today are veterans that have brought America's honor, integrity, and the character that we always need and that's necessary to keep our country great. You bring to our country that which personifies the values that we all hold dear as Americans: duty, honor, country, perseverance, and maybe most important, the refusal of our great country to accept defeat. I'm convinced that our nation, and the threats to our nation, rather, will never go away. We were always going to have threats. And then that means we're always going to have veterans. I'm also convinced that our way of life here in the United States is despised by many people, as are our values and our way of life. We have great things going here in the United States with all the stuff going on in India. All of us have to remember that freedom is not free. Thanks to all of our veterans for your sacrifice in order that we can be free. And I salute those who have gone before me, those veterans who are with us today, and those Americans who will be ready to serve when needed and when called on. And as I close, and as we prepare to honor our veterans tomorrow during Veterans Day, let me read to you a lyric that I found called "In a Mother's Eye," and it was written by a songwriter named Andrew Dean. The day our flagpole was ready, we had no flag to fly. There the flagpole stood high above our heads, and we had no flag to fly. However, our mother stepped forward and said, "I have a flag," with a tear in her eye. The mother said, "It was given me in honor of my son. He was a true blue soldier, a veteran who gave his best." When I heard this, I got a knot in my throat and a chill in my bones. A tear rolled down my face. For you see, in a mother's eye, you can see red, white, and blue. In a mother's eye, you can see the pain so true. Freedom comes with the cost of sadness and loss you can see in a mother's eye. When a veteran puts their life on the line so others can be free, it's a selfless act of courage and love. How thankful we all should be. And when I look at the flag today, I see a whole new meaning there. I see the men and the women who died for her, who fought and lived for her. So in this freedom, we can share. In a mother's eye, you can see red, white, and blue. In a mother's eye, you can see the pain so true. Freedom comes with the cost of sadness and loss you can see in a mother's eye. May God bless our veterans. May God bless our families. May God bless our great country, America. Thank you.
Couldn't have been better. Phil Watts, if you can make your way up here, I'd like you to help me with something. We do want to give you our certificate of appreciation, and it's appreciation far beyond thanking you for your service for 4 years. And just a little symbol of liberty. You need the bell.
One more. Hold it over there. Very good.
Perfect. Thank you, Marshall. Thank you.
You notice that 2-star was surrounded by 1 stripes?
I don't know what that means.
Uh-huh.
Tom was making a comment. He said the 2 stars were surrounded by 1 stripe, and I'm not sure what that meant.
1 stripes.
1 stripes.
Yeah, 2 prizes.
Surrounded by my wife.
Oh, Marshall, thank you so much. And that was as I expected, but more than we could have asked for. Thank you again. What a great time. Okay, we want to get into our officer reports, but before we do that, I need to call on Mike Bervitas, our past president. He has some official duties to attend to.
Official.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Official.
Just back from a week in New Jersey, real quick. I also spent most of October in California. And you know, California, they grow oranges, apricots, and the almonds. Almonds as far as the eye can see. And I got approached in California by people from the Hollow Earth Society, who are convinced people live under the Earth's crust, not quite so close to the mantle apparently. And also the Flat Earth Society are convinced that you cannot fly at 30,000 feet for 5 hours. You would be at a different altitude if the Earth is round. So after going to these orange groves and apricots groves and then seeing all the almonds, I'm convinced California is a state of fruits and nuts. Amazing. So I'm happy to report that past President Tom Whitelock greatly assisted me in preparing the nomination slate for next year, which I'll read as follows. The nominations for next year's chapter officers are President Tom Van Vossen, First Vice President Mark Harrison, Second Vice President Alan Prather, Secretary, one more time, Tom Whitelock. Treasurer, Venerable Nick Harper. Registrar, another Venerable Terry Pinkerton. Chaplain and State Chaplain Frank Ponders. And Historian Joseph Sloniker. So this is our slate for next year. We will formally vote on this with due notice at our December meeting with installation in January. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Still, as the first vice president, the job that I took this year and really enjoyed doing, which I'm going to work with our new one, is about programs. And don't miss December. Seriously. Breakfast will be on time. Tom told me that. Our state president, Tom Jackson, who was at the BOM with us, is going to come and speak to us and give us a State of the Union type situation for the chapter and for the state of Texas. And we have a guest speaker or a guest Americanism talk that came upon me by accident. Tom Whitlock, Tom One, as we all know, introduced me to a guy by the name of Jim Johnson who lives up in Denton. And he's going to give a talk on something that we've heard before, but I haven't. It's called a Yankee Doodle Christmas. And it's going to be good. So be sure if you want, be sure to bring your wives too. Anyhow, December's going to be a big meeting. We'll have our voting and all the things that we have to do there. Moving along, the secretary, approval of the minutes, sir.
Minutes were posted to the website. You have copies on the table. I have one correction that has been noted, and that is that one of the prospective members to be installed next month is not Gary Harrison, it's Ray Anderson. I flipped right here. So with that, motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
They're approved. Thank you, Tracy.
Now, on the agenda for today, you notice at the bottom, it says, please look at the attached survey and mark your opinions or other suggestions. This is in reference to the design of a medal for the 125th anniversary of Texar. That was sent at the same time I sent out the agenda to you by email. If you did not get a copy in the transfer or did not download it from the significant box at the top of the agenda and want a copy, see me after the meeting and I'll make sure that you get one. It has a number of suggestions and ideas as to what the design should be, but we're open to any opinions that you have, both in the survey or suggestions for what the medal should contain. This is one that we're doing in advance of the 2021st year, where we will have the state meeting here at East Fort Trinity, and we want to get it done in time so that we will be able to cast it and have it available for purchase by the membership.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay, Mr. Nick Harper, would you please join me?
Thank you, Tom. Oh, if everybody will take your handout that I gave you when you registered in here, turn to the section for proposed 2019 budget. I would like to make sure we have the right numbers to satisfy everybody within our limited fundraising abilities for next year to be able to vote on at the December meeting along with the officers. So take a minute, if you will, and scan through here. If you see any area that you would like to see raised or any area you'd like to see lowered, let's get it out right now.
Secretary secretary's salary raised?
Double.
Double.
No, that sounds fair.
I move that.
Yes, Bill?
This year, we have had several older members who could not pay their dues. And I think we need to address that as an item on our proposed budget. I propose maybe a starting figure of $100 we put into a fund so that if we do have members that cannot pay, we don't have to worry about it. We've got money up there. Everybody hear me?
Yes. Bill, could I suggest that the two that we paid for this year were William David Hill, $60, and Lori Crapo, $60. Rather than setting aside $100, I suggest that we set aside $120, which would cover two $60 memberships.
Yeah, that's good.
Any comments on that? I see no hot eggs being thrown up at the podium in here. Okay. Does anybody have any objections to that? Any heartburn at all? Okay. We will add those in for December. What else?
Move approval with the amendment.
Okay. You want to go ahead and approve it now?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. Any further discussion? Actually, I'm out of order in here. First Vice President here, this is your meeting. Come forward and conduct the vote, please, sir.
You're doing great.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed.
Thank you.
I'm still worried. I would like to have our great registrar, Jerry Pinkerton, join me now. We have a gentleman to bring with him, and I would also like Gary Lovell to join us up here.
Sometimes you think you will never get to the end of the process. But didn't we?
2 years.
It took us how long?
2 years.
2 years to get to this point, but here we are. And an interesting bit before we go to the official part, in doing his genealogy, we found that my cousin, who he knew, was the person who was an undertaker who signed his mother's death certificate. So we have an affinity here. We're here to induct Mark Hampton Harrison, and Gary Lovell is going to do the honors.
Thank you.
Mr. Patrick Harrison have been accepted as a member of the Dallas chapter of the Texas Society of the Sons of the American Revolution. Do you, as a descendant of one of the patriots and heroes of the American Revolution, reaffirm your ancestors' faith in the principles of liberty and our constitutional republic?
I do.
And will you pledge to support the patriotic, historical, and educational objectives of the National Society, Sons of the American Revolution?
I would.
I now take great pleasure in presenting your membership certificate. Patrick Pinkerton sponsored you into our society.
Are you ready to be pinned?
Yes, I am.
This rosette is the official recognition emblem of the Sons of the American Revolution. Its blue and buff colors represent the colors in the uniform worn by General George Washington. Wear it proudly. Patrick Harrison, we welcome you to the Dallas chapter. Ask that you work with us to fulfill the purposes and objectives of the Sons of the American Revolution.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Jerry, right by the flag.
Why don't you just stick it in his chest?
Well, still pushing through.
Yeah. Okay. And also, normally, Mark would make comments about his Patriot ancestor, but his son, who couldn't be here today, is a new member, and he's going to be inducted next time. So at that time, they will jointly give you the story of their ancestor.
Very good.
So, and we also, and Tom, you need to explain this significance. We give him a Texar Challenge coin, and Tom can explain the.
We acquired a number of the challenge coins, the state challenge coins, through our President-elect David Temple, and have so decided to give one to each new member that comes in, so that he doesn't get caught having to buy beer for everybody when he's challenged.
Good idea. Good idea.
Take care.
Get it with you at all times.
Do appreciate it.
Installation ceremony is probably the single most focal point of the meetings that we have during the year. And I would say to one and all, this is the only organization I've ever belonged to where I could look into the eyes of every person who was here, who was a member, and know that we had one common purpose and one common gathering. And that was the fact that we all, every one of us, had a patriot who had fought for American Revolution. And that makes me so very proud. Look around, and these are all your brothers and your sisters. These are the people that you joined for, and these are the reasons we're here. So, welcome, Mark. I know it's been a long. You and I actually started coming to meetings together. I thought you worked here.
Permanent guest.
Yeah, permanent guest. Thank you. Committee report, Historian Joseph Sloan.
If everybody can please contribute more of their SAR material to me. The scrapbook's getting a little thin this time of year. It was really big in the summertime, but anything you have to submit, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. And a report from our chaplain, Frank Members.
What do you want me to do?
Whatever it is that you feel that you want to add to the meeting.
Woo!
That's dangerous.
Speechless.
Yeah, Tracy, you know more than anybody. Committee chairman's reports. Membership, Prof. McDowell?
Yeah, we have about 257, I remember.
257. That's gone up from the last time I heard the report. Of course, I wasn't here last week. All right. And for the color guard, Bob Little, would you please come up here?
Yeah.
The color guard is going to be in the parade, Dallas Veterans Parade, Monday. Hopefully, those color guard members have already received the color guard instructions from Major Douglas Gavel, and we are 129. Our position in the parade is 129. It has been changed from 71 to 129. So those color guard members come Monday. The parade starts at 11:15 Monday. And that's to give all the school children the opportunity to see the parade. That's the reason it's being held on Monday. School will be out in Dallas. And in case of rain or other severe weather situations requiring parade cancellation, the Major says we will endeavor to notify participants by radio, TV, and contact as many as possible. Well, the chances of rain Monday are 80%. So, we will see what happens Monday. If it, and again, it's traditional Lee, we don't have a trailer. We don't have anything to ride in. So if Tom and Whitelock and I, we may be a little short. I expect about, with that forecast, probably about 6. Although I told the major, I said expect 10. We might have to reduce that number in half. I don't know. Absolutely, I got no reply. So, I mean, as far as Trinity, Plano, this chapter about who's going to participate. But it's an important, of course, parade for SAR. So, yeah, Tom.
Well, I have a question. Why do we contribute $200 to the Veterans Parade when they put us number 120 of it, which is well more than an hour after the parade starts? It seems to me that there's something wrong with that situation. Why do we have to contribute anything at all?
We're doing it for the...
Or at least use that contribution to get us moved up to the first 10, I would think.
Tom, it's politics. That's basically it.
$200 is not...
The major said he was trying to be as fair as possible with all participants. That's the way he put it. All participants. Giving nothing to...
as fair as possible with our cash.
I don't know.
It's in the till.
That's a good question, but I'm sure others have given Tom, and probably as much. Some of the other units. Yeah, Nick's a board member now of that parade.
The Greater Dallas Veterans Foundation, which sponsors the parade, has requested this year that all organizations wishing to march in the parade make a minimum donation of $300 for the parade. And you guys are getting my opportunity.
Yeah. Hey, that's good. We're only paying, our donation is $200. So there you go. So we will be there at around 9 o'clock, and directing into our parking lot. Yeah, Nick.
Dr. Roger, and one of the major benefactors of the monies that are paid for the parade, after expenses are paid, go to the Dallas Homeless Veterans Services down at on Ann Arbor Boulevard, right about 3 blocks south of the VA hospital. Jim Farrer is very familiar with the work of the Homeless Veterans Services in Dallas. It's run by a fellow Marine, retired Master Sergeant Ken Larson.
There you go. So, Tom, that probably still doesn't answer your question. But that's the way it stands. I know in the past we've always been in the top 50, 60, 70 group marching, but this year it happened to be, it's our time.
And you're mustering at 9 and it doesn't step off until 11.
That's correct. That's correct. Because I don't expect everybody to be there at 9, but the parade starts around 11:15, and we'll be tailing. There are 150 participants, by the way, marching units, and we're 129. Now, some have been excluded because they're not even in the parade. If they entry was late, they're cut out. Yeah, Nick.
One more thing, I give you permission, Dallas Chapter SAR number 2, to show up between 10:30 and 10:45 in the parking lot, as they call it, used to be the Union Arena parking lot. About 9 a.m. thing has blistered me for years and years, 20 years the parade has been going.
Okay.
Nobody needs to be down there that early, even the high school bands and ROTC is. So everyone who has asked me, I said, parade doesn't step off until almost 11:30, and there's no reason we need to be down 2.5 hours early. So enjoy a long sleep in Monday morning, come down, kind of straggling in around 10:30, 10:45. You'll be in great shape.
Okay, I think. Anybody have any statements to make? Okay, Tom. Nice to have a board member here. Helps to get the straight skinny on these things. If I was planning on being there at 9 o'clock, but I would have had my sleeping bag with me. So.
Did 45.
Yeah, exactly. All right. To report on our Veterans Fairs, our chairman, John Morton.
Yes, winter's coming and our veterans need stuff for winter. Everybody's participating a lot better now than we have in the past. We get a lot of coffee. Think about razors and toothpaste and those type of things, personal items. And I want to thank everybody. I'd like to do something else right now. I'd like to have all the veterans stand and get a ovation from our chapter, please. All
Well done.
veterans stand.
Please, all veterans, please.
Thank you very much.
Well done, John. One of our new committee members on the brochure contest, Marshall Scanlon. Everything? I tell you what, you took on a lot because I saw what he gave you. Yeah.
Marshall had sent out, I gave him a list of a number of schools in the middle school line. He took a half, I took a half, and he got his half-out class. And so he completed his, and I had completed mine as of yesterday. And so we have out to the middle schools approximately 85 information flyers and requests for participation by them. Hopefully we'll get some participation. They have been very slow throughout the state in this particular contest, but I think we'll maybe at least get one or two that we can forward for the contest and be justly proud.
Well done, both gentlemen. Appreciate that.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Yeah, with regard to brochures, so this time last year, there's a school in Richardson that was very interested, another one in North Dallas, so I'm forward. Well, we forward it to you.
Fine.
I don't have the general's
That's fine.
email.
No, do it to me and I'll get it to him. Absolutely.
But they were just do the deadline and they didn't get it in time.
Thank you, Mike. The BSA, Hank Vogel. Okay. And how about the CAR essays and events, Nick?
And there she is. Bradley Sue, will you come forward, please? My expert on children of the American Revolution, David Pendleton chapter, is Bradley Sue Howell. I would like to commend her, first of all, for carrying our SAR Nellis chapter number 2 check for our gift to David Pendleton chapter that was written in March by yours truly, and given to Bradley Sue, who delivered it to the chapter that finally several days ago the check was cashed. So after 6 months the check is finally cleared. I want to say this is the hardest $300 I've ever tried to give away in my life. Bradley Sue, tell us what's happening with David Pendleton chapter.
Well, we had a change of treasurers, and getting 2 people that work at the bank at the same time to do the all that kind of stuff, it took a while. Tomorrow at the Arboretum, I believe at 11 o'clock, we're having a program by someone who's singing. I'm sorry, I can't remember who they are. But anyway, CAR will be there. We're going to have a short meeting and have the Veterans Day program there. In October at the fair, they had their Veterans Day Vietnam Memorial service there. So it was really funny. Our boys that we usually have in the group were all elsewhere. And it was only the girls of CAR who turned up to do the program. So they were real excited about, the girls will do it, girl power. Yay!
Thank you, Brother Sue.
Okay, I'll move on to some old business. I'd like to bring it
One other,
Yes.
if I may. On November the 17th, at the fire station located at Coit and Plano Road in Parker in Plano, we're going to have the flag retirement program. Many of you have participated over the years with Jeanette Profinsky in this program. It's very, very moving. We will have the community turnout with flags that have been worn and torn and so forth to be retired into fire with the proper service. A few of us will be in uniform to assist in that, and it's being sponsored this year by the Plano chapter, but we always like to contribute whatever we can. You're all welcome to come, and it'll be at about 11 o'clock in the morning at the fire station at Coit and Parker Roads, right there on the corner in Plano, November the 17th.
Thank you, T1. A couple of things on old business I'd just like to mention. With all the work that gets done by committee chairmen and officers in our chapter, sometimes we kind of look over what gets done behind the scenes, but I would like to draw some attention right now to a kind of an astute piece of accounting that took place with the help of one Nick Harper. We got approached through the mail by someone who was throwing people's names around, like Bill Watts' name and a few other people's names. And there was this banner going back across electronically where someone was asking and submitting an invoice for $1,740. And Nick said, I don't think so. Because instead of having Bill, quote unquote, sign on this memo, it was, Dear William. Well, nobody calls him William. We call him late for lunch or something else, but never do we call him William. So Nick did a little research, and we went inside the system, if you will, and I did some research after I found out about it. And I found out actually it was a scammer that was being done out of Phoenix, Arizona. And there was a lady by the name of Mary Letcher or something like that, no pun intended. And she worked out of a storefront in Phoenix, Arizona. And she had somehow got into an SAR list, and she was phishing. And Nick caught it. And we sent her nothing. So I thank you, Nick, for your work on that.
Amen. Very, very good.
To that end, when we were at the BOM, they talked about the new super secret address for our SAR at the state level. And they're saying, we're going to change that password every year. There were some groans from the audience, me being one, because I am fat finger, I'm not the technical person. But you do have to change it, just like your banks and everything require you to do that. Well, by doing this, that's going to help one of these type of issues. But you have to be vigilant nowadays. Another piece of old business, but something that was actually a joy for me. Again, everything I'm doing this year is new, so I'm just a kid on the block here. I got a chance to work at the state fair at the DAR house, and met a number of people, hundreds of people, and I got to work with some good people I had never met before, great ladies, other chapters people. From our chapter, I'm happy to say that myself and Robert Taylor and James Fairbrand and Tom Smith and Tom Whitelock, we all took various turns at the table there, and it was really a fun time. You exchange information, you look for new membership, and what's particularly good about it is that the kids come in with their parents and they want to see the people in the uniforms and see the rifle, and they want to get their picture taken, and they had a stand there, and they had
signers of the Declaration of Independence behind the table with a quill pen, and they could sit down and have that picture taken. And it was quite an experience. So I'm telling you, I'm in for next year. As a matter of fact, I found out that I live in Flower Mound, but I can take the train from very near my house all the way to Fair Park and get off, serve my duty, get back on the train and go home, and it's absolutely painless. So anybody who hasn't worked at the fair, I don't care if you take one session, but go there and it's just a grand time. You feel good about it when you're done. Plus, in fact, you're in the fair free. If you want to go walk the fairgrounds after your time's done, fine. Anyhow, thank you to all the members there that participated in that, and we look forward to doing it again next year. Okay, we'll move on. Is there any, for the chapter, is there any new business? Well, if there's no business, I think that leaves us to, before the benediction, I think that leaves us one other thing to do, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Today we have 7 books and 3 patriotic calendars from the year 2019. Having been stung in past years by people donating calendars from the year that end up being from the year that is just finishing rather than from the year that's coming, I inspected each of the 3 calendars and I verify personally they are all 3 for 2019, not 2018. When your number is called in there, we're not going to distinguish them separately in there. If you go up and would rather have a calendar than a book in there, feel free to take either one. Okay, Tom, if you'll do the drawing.
Okay.
And here, I'll keep count of the prizes.
Okay. Only Nick would make sure it's the right year on the calendar. I would notice that. Okay, let's go for our first winner is 896. Right here. All right, that's good job. Get back, get one of those 1918 or 2018 calendars. 911. All right, John. 894. All right, Alan, good job. 893.
Must be
917.
Bingo.
Got it. All right, Mike. 920. All right, Gary. 919.
That's me.
Hey, Trace. Good. Mr. Chancellor. How about 900? 900. Look at this. All right. How many more we got, Nick?
3 more.
Okay. How about 898? All right. Good job. I'm going to go up this there. How about 897? How about 904? All right. Good job. One more now?
One more.
Okay. And the last one is 905. All right, James. Good job.
I must congratulate you. That's the best spread of numbers that we've ever had in that thing.
Thank you. Thank you. I was up late last night. I just don't know. All righty. If I can call on our chaplain again, would everybody please rise for the benediction?
Take a moment. Recognize that you and I and all the rest of the people in this nation live in the greatest nation of people that has ever existed, with greater freedoms, greater opportunity, greater love than any other in the world in its history. We thank God for that, and we diligently will work to continue making it even better. So God, thank you for the blessing. Thank you for all of these who continue to be a part of this organization, which blesses your work that began so long ago, and which was continued by our ancestors in the Revolutionary War. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. And for the SAR recessional, please repeat after me. Until we meet again, let us remember our obligations to our forefathers who gave us our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, an independent Supreme Court, and a nation of free men.
Man.
Adjourned.
Yeah.